Not everybody's going to do it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just how it is. You know, our trim guys, we have 4 different trim guys. I can have them do the same project and they're all going to take it differently.
Right. Yep.
And not that one's better than the other. And it's just, but at some point, like you said, you just got to let go and be like, it's still going to be done. It's still going to be great, but it's not going to be the way that I would have done it. Or the time manner, or whatever it might be, and just sometimes you just gotta let go.
And in essence, the customer satisfaction is going to tell you if it's okay.
Right.
You know, it might still not meet your expectation.
Yeah.
But if it meets theirs, that's what it's got to meet.
Welcome back to another episode of Small Town Grit. I have owner Mike Mackay of Vassar Building Center and the store manager Adam Daugharty.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
We have lots to talk about.
I've been looking for this day for a long time.
But I think we should start like how it all started, right? Like when did Vassar Building Center become Vassar Building Center?
Mike's got to talk about that because I was still...
Well,
we weren't even born. No,
it starts with the Cook family. Joe Cook started the company, and then is actually his dad, and then Joe Jr., and then which would be Matt's dad, Matt Cook. Matt. And then my father-in-law and mother-in-law Shirley and Larry Putman purchased the company along with Jim Eskelson and Kim Eskelson, which would have been Joe's daughter. So as it turned out, then I've got involved in the company. Things worked out to where interesting story, and I can elaborate on that. But it's to get the timeline down. Moved over to the Vassar Building Center, and then things progressed. My father-in-law ended up getting cancer, which was kind of sad, but he's still with us today, which was good. So it forced me to be more involved in the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you guys took over in 2011?
2011, yep. That's when we bought it from my mom and dad.
Okay. Yep. Was that nerve-wracking, or how did it all...
No, it was planned for a long time.
Oh, okay.
You know, it was something, when I first came on with the company, it was something that I think we all expected to happen someday. Just that day with my father-in-law's cancer, it came a little faster than what we thought. So it kind of expedited things. And my mother-in-law stayed on, and she's I learned a ton from her. She's very sharp, super detailed, great accountant, and to this day we navigated some pretty tough waters. And because of her forecasting, I think a lot of times when I first came on, it wasn't too long where we hit the downturn in 2010 and the housing downturn, and we did some. My father-in-law was kind of in with his cancer treatments and stuff like that, so he wasn't too much involved in that. But we had a lot of meetings trying to get through navigate this unfortunate situation in the economy. We just dealt with a bad. I think we had 48 employees at the time, and we kind of did some calculations and figured out we had to get rid of like half the staff.
Ouch. So
it was very tough, and it was a horrible thing to do. And in the beginning, the first part of it, every company's got the ones where like, this isn't so bad, because some people they need a relocation, and you talked about cutting the fat, and then after it didn't take too long, and you're cutting bone now, so you're cutting some good people where you're like having tough conversations, like, sorry we have to do this, but we have to do this to survive. Well, we navigated those waters, and then we worked our way back, and I think we're just under 40 or 43.
Yeah,
right now.
But what really drove the amount of employees that he had was Weber's was closing.
Yeah,
so he was picking up. He was picking up outside sales guys that were, doubling and tripling their sales overnight. So it skyrocketed up, and then the economy took a tank. Because I think most of those guys came over in 2006.
Yeah.
Around that period.
4.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I think we had a lot of the anniversaries from then. A lot of really good people were either let go or came over from Weber then, and it was a shot in the arm for Vassar Building Center. We got some really good people, and there's quite a few still there today. He's going to be retiring here.
Russ.
Oh, Russ. Yeah, I saw he moved his retirement up. Yeah, good for him.
Yeah. He came over. He was on that ship.
Thank you to our sponsors. IRD Homes, Mid-Michigan's top contractor, bringing new builds and renovations to life. Timber Oaks. Timber Oaks offers customized lawn and landscape solutions and is a premier Mid-Michigan lawn care company. Link Excavation, your Mid-Michigan excavating experts serving Bay, Tuscola, Saginaw, Huron, and Genesee counties. Yeah, I worked at Weber's there when it was there, and it was it got bought out so many times. It was CML was there, Woolahan. I think the last buyout was UBC bought it, and then they ended up closing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then did a liquidation sale.
Their template was interesting. Don had a great company, and he sold it, which is that's what a lot of people their goal is to do, sell their company and kind of cash out, and he did, and the people that bought it after him didn't recognize what they really had, and they really had a specialized company in a very specialized millwork company, let alone the lumber part of it, which is great relationships, and they were a great company to compete with. We worked together on so many things. We did a lot of purchasing together, so a lot of people didn't know that. Behind the scenes, we'd be splitting box cars and stuff like that. So.
A lot of those contractors, like when the first person that built or bought out Weber, were like who bought them out? Woolahan first, I think.
I think it was Woolahan and then CML.
Yep. Yeah, they came up to these guys that have been buying from Weber Lumber for years upon years. It was like, hey, we need you to fill out a new application.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need a new credit app.
I remember Al Reinhardt. He's still around. He's 91. He told me the story. He was like, if I'm going to fill it out, I'm probably going to fill it out somewhere else that knows what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So that's how a lot of that trickle effect came over from Weber's, because they were like, dude, I've been doing business with, and now they want me to fill out an application. I paid my bills all the time.
Yeah, no, it's hard, buyouts and transitions, and people don't like change, especially around here. I mean, these old Germans, they don't like any change. So.
No.
And we were a lot like them in a lot of ways. So the conversion of the employees coming over, it felt like a similar type family environment. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what Don always had over there. And we had a similar environment where what they were being instilled upon was a corporate environment, which is that's who bought them. So they can do it if they want. They paid the money for the company. They can run it how they want. So it's their right. But it was a different culture, and a lot of people just couldn't handle it. And so we were the recipient of a lot of really good people.
Yeah, I forgot about how Weber Lumber used to get lumber on rail.
Yeah,
and that was pretty common back then. Yep. And I didn't know you guys split some packages.
There was. They called us behind the scenes the Thumb Cartel, because it was Weber Lumber, Carroll Lumber. We did some stuff with Moore and Carter up in Sandusky, and then even Sequin Lumber in Bay City. Mm-hmm. So we would split car roads. We'd split Anderson window trucks. Back in the day, we had to have huge Anderson window trucks. So we'd split them. Somebody would offload them at a different site. You'd use your labor, or you'd charge your labor. And we just all worked together for the good, and it was a pretty cool time. And we still do a little bit of that today with some of the yards, but not as much. It was a big thing back then.
They were shorthanded in the truss shop because they had a truss shop there. Yeah. So I was like, I was young. I'll go work back there. That was the craziest guys I worked with in my life. They were like the cowboys back there. They would get their guns and they would shoot everybody. I'm like, I gotta get out. I only worked one day back there. I was like, I ain't going back there.
How many guys were in the truss shop?
There was only like 3 or 4 of them, but yeah, they had their old school way of doing their trusses.
Yep. Was Brian there?
Brian?
Right now.
No, yeah. No, I'm a great mentor to me in the lumber business growing up. So through that whole industry.
Yeah.
So there's not many small independent operations of lumberyards anymore, is there? I mean, especially the scale that you guys are at.
I mean, back like when the economy tanked, I bet you wiped out half.
Yeah, there's quite a few, and some of them were.
You're talking like 06, 7, 8, like that point when.
Yeah, I mean, just so many contractors, they just quit doing what they were doing. Mm-hmm. They went back to a steady job. Like a lot of those guys that we dealt with, they just closed up shop because they just couldn't do it.
Well, and truly sticks and building materials were done. I mean, it was like if you didn't have, that's one of the reasons why the template we have today is what we have, is because we realized pretty quickly you have to sell things other than lumber. You're a lumberyard. Yeah. What else can you sell?
There's small margins on dimensional lumber.
So we needed to increase our hardware, and that involves us to this guy and where he came. One of the things we had one of our yard foremen at the time, Al Rodimer, was there, and we'd have our management meetings, and I said, you know what, we need to develop our hardware end. You know, it just needs to be stronger. Our focus has always been on lumber. We want to be better in hardware. And I said, but we need a hardware guy. We all think like lumber. You know, it's like, and you know, you can sell a deck package or a house package. You can spend 3 hours with them, or you can spend 3 hours with somebody with 3 nuts and 3 bolts looking for a metric screw or something like that. But so the lumber guys don't want to do it.
Right.
And the hardware guys are so passionate about it. They just, we're going to find that screw, you know?
It is a crazy line that they draw, because
I
I
know you got one of these.
Yeah, when I came there, I was like, these guys don't want to touch anything out here. I mean, you bring someone past that line from the hardware and the lumber, and they needed to ask something about the hardware, they would just be like, I don't know what to do, you know? Because first of all, they're busy, you know, doing their house sales and stuff like that. But you just spend a lot more time trying to figure out the smallest project that only costs $2. You know, it's just a different mindset.
So back to the story, we needed a hardware guy. So Al Rodimer says, I know a guy, young guy. He works for another company, and he's working in Bay City, and another Do It Best. And I was like, oh, okay. But he lives in Frankenmuth, but he wants to work at the Frankenmuth store, but they don't want him back there. They want him in Bay City, but he wants to come back. So I know he's getting tired of driving up to Bay City. I said, well, let's call him. So I ended up calling him and offered him a job. And he's like, let me think about it.
And this was in 2009 when we were still I was like,
well, this was to my point. Yeah. We need something other than lumber. You know, we do.
So I had a huge concern, the economy is tanked. Yeah. And you want to hire me? Yeah. What are you doing? You know, so.
Yeah, long story short, Adam.
I've been there since.
Yeah.
And I've worked in hardware since I was 15. So.
Yeah, and that's one thing, because you guys, at what point did you say we all grew our space and we're like?
We knew it not too long after that, but we just couldn't do anything about it. It was you're just dealing with, you know, the space that you had, making it as nice as you possibly could. It was an old lumberyard, an old building, you know, unfriendly to female customers. You know, it was just intimidating. So that we knew to get to that next level that we needed a new store. So we started talking about some things, and then as things came up, opportunities came up, the Fairway store sold. We looked at that originally as a warehouse to start out with for our building materials, and then the more we started looking at it, we were going to add on to the old building center, and we're like, we could move the operation over there, and add on to that building and have a nicer structure. And so that's what we ended up doing. But the opportunity for Paul Harmon to put that up at the time he did was the opportunity that we needed. It fell into the time of the right spot. So, and then we breathed some new life into that old building, and it was a lot better building than what we had at the lumberyard to start with. If you remodel it, and transformed it into a beautiful building now.
Yeah, you know, we talked about small town grid, and I think that really is definition is our small town. There's only less than 3,000 people in this small community, but you guys reach miles and miles of radius, and to reinvest back in our community was huge. I mean, did you at one point been is this the right spot for us? Should we be in Franklin?
A lot of people asked me, but I knew it was right from the get-go. The timing of it kind of went like this. We were planning on doing something. We knew we needed to build on, add on to increase our space and to just make it a nicer space. So we were working with Do It Best on a store design, and I could show you the design. It would have been cool if I'd have known this, and it was really crappy compared to what we have now.
Right.
And we thought it was awesome. Yeah. We were like, oh, look how great. It looks like Fairway with a couple little eyebrows on it.
Right.
You know, like the old store.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that's going to be awesome. So, and then we were at one of their meetings, and they kind of just blindsided us. They said, hey, we're rolling out, Do It Best nationwide is rolling out this new prototype store. You're a candidate for it on the remodel side, because we want a ground up, and then we want a remodel. And would you be interested in doing it? And I said, sure. And he goes, well, just a second. There's one requirement. It's got to be done in a year, I think is what it was.
Yeah. It was June 10th.
so then I kind of looked at Brenda and she looked at me and I said, and we both were like, yeah, let's do it. And so at that point I was a little worried about the timeline, but I was like, when your back's to the wall, you're just going to do it. I wasn't really worried. Right. So the commitment to go into that new prototype was
and if
awesome.
anybody needs a timeline, he does.
Yeah. Oh, I do.
He needs a timeline for sure.
Yes. And we did really well, other than in the middle of it, all of a sudden COVID hits.
I was going to say that has to be nerve-wracking.
So
big investment
in the spring, in June. That June it was supposed to be done. So it hit in the spring. So we were like, oh my goodness, and we're shut down for like 8 to 10 weeks. Runner construction, all the trades, they can't even come in. Mm-hmm. And so we finally we weren't sure. At the time, nobody was really sure how long it was going to take. And after about 8 to 10 weeks, Do It Best finally they called and said, hey, we're not going to hold you to that June commitment, but get it done as fast as you can. Because there's no other stores right now that are starting. Yours is the only one. And by the October show, we want to roll this thing out. So we ended up getting close to we ended up opening up in October, and we were able to get it done. And it looked kind of piecemeal because at the time you couldn't get product, and we brought over stuff from the old store, and then we got all the new stuff we could. But it was at first we were like, wow, what a terrible time to open a brand new store.
Right.
And then, as you know, how the economy and buying habits changed with people, and it just drove people to every local establishment that there was, and it drove them to this brand new store, which was just sitting there like, boy, these guys are genius for timing this out. Right. And it really was. It was, the good Lord above just looking over us and saying, this is how we're going to help you make it work. And it was truly a blessing. So the timing of it was perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, the store is beautiful for anybody that hasn't gone.
Thank you. Yeah.
Stop in. So how did, obviously it's your company, but how do you get to the point that you're like, I don't want to run the day-to-day anymore? You can't. Yeah.
You have to rely on other people.
Yeah.
It's just one of the things. And I was always a guy that, and back I can remember meetings, it was like, you're feeling like, are you the only one working here? It's like, what is everybody else doing? Mm-hmm. And that's your own fault, by the way. Because if you can't, you got to get other people to think like you. You got to express the things that you want to do, how you want them done, monitor them along the way, and just get out of their way and do it.
And it's still a challenge. Yeah. I mean, I still struggle with saying no. I do a lot of the sales still on the side of it, but I try to get away from because I just get buried. But you got to have the good people behind you to think like you and do the things that you guys want to do. I mean, we have meetings. We just talked about it today, of how you get people to think and have the expectations that you want to have for the face of your company.
Well, as a go-getter, you want to do it all. You want to touch everything, and you want to make sure everything's perfect, but you can't. Unless you're going to stay this big, Right. But if eventually you got to rely on other people, and you hire good people, you take care of them, and you nurture them, and you get them to think like you. And then, like I said, you just get out of their way. Now, you don't do it permanently. You got to check back in and make sure they're still, doing things. Just today, he was going to take on something, and he's like, I'm just going to do it. We had some things. We were short-staffed. He goes, I'm just going to do it. And I said, no, go tell him how you want it done.
Right.
Give him a chance, and then let him do it, and then just go back in and coach him through it.
They started calling me Blister, though. Because Kevin and DeAndre, they nicknamed me Blister, and I was like, why Blister? They're like, because you always come after all the work's done, and you're like, well, I would have kind of done it that way, and coached them in a different direction. They're like, the job's already done. The blisters have been made, man.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's fault on mine. Like sometimes I just need to let them do it. And
I'm in the same. I'm in the same way because not everybody's going to do it the same way. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just how it is. Our trim guys, we have 4 different trim guys. I can have them do the same project, and they're all going to take it differently.
Right. Yep.
And not that one's better than the other. Mm-hmm. And it's just, but at some point, like you said, you just got to let go and be like, it's still going to be done. It's still going to be great, but it's not going to be the way that I would have done it. or the time manner or whatever it might be. And just sometimes you just got to let go.
And in essence, the customer satisfaction is going to tell you if it's okay.
Right.
You know, it might still not meet your expectation.
Yeah.
But if it meets theirs, that's what it's got to meet. And if it doesn't, now we're talking again. Now we're like, hey, Corey, this didn't work. I wish you would have did it like this because they don't like it.
Yeah.
And then you coach them through it.
Do you guys, this is more for Mike or even like Tanner, do people come to you and be like, how come you guys aren't running your own store? Or you ever get that question? Or why is Adam doing this for you?
Sometimes, but it's pretty easy. It's like, because I can't do it all. I don't want to do it all because I trust Adam.
You really can't. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
I mean, when we moved into that new operation, I mean, before we were all on top of each other. So like everything that we talked about was kind of like,
yeah, you could hear every conversation,
like, everything that was going on. So like
we didn't have many communication problems.
No, so now we're further apart. The yard operation is over there, you know, at the old location, and then the sales guys and hardware staff and then home decor staff. We always made fun of people that had radios in their store.
Yeah.
Like,
well, remember when we opened the store?
Yeah, we were like, dude, we don't need radios. There's no way we need radios. And then like
talk to people.
We started getting busted, you know, on port because we just couldn't cover enough ground and everything. Yeah. I was like, dude, we need radios, you know. And they're such a useful tool because we still want to have great customer experience.
Yeah.
But to communicate with each other, phone calls, guys down aisle 10, you got to go hit them up, like the radios. But that disconnect that we have from the older template to what we have now, it's separate now.
And then you look at it in even bigger stores than ours. You know, we think ours is a big store. We went from 5,000 square foot to 30,000 square foot, which is huge. But there's 100,000 square foot stores.
Right.
And like the challenge to have a big retail space like that, I respect the people, like even, as much as we talk smack about the box stores and other services, it's so challenging to have that big of a space and to bring the customer service level that you have to, that people expect, to a level that is good in that big of an area. It's like, it's almost virtually impossible. You're in a losing battle, but you figure it out, and you have to figure it out fast because you don't like getting black eyes. We got a few when we first started. And
it's not like he's not running his operation; he's running it.
Yeah, he just run it through you.
Yeah, but like we collaborate every day.
We talk
every day. Yeah. We're collaborating on stuff, and
I'll be driving by the front of the building. And I'll call him on the phone because you drive by it 3 times and I forget to. And I was like, I gotta tell you about this. We gotta move mulch, peel that stuff off that mulch. It looks horrible.
Right.
Because if we don't talk about it, and he doesn't, I'm not asking him to do it, but I'm asking him to help orchestrate to get somebody else to get that done. Because your eyes don't lie, and when they start doing that, then it's time to get out.
And honestly, I mean, the longer you work in a facility, if you don't have that eye, like, you're constantly going to walk past it because you're used to walking in the same environment every day, the same place. So, like, if that rake is sitting over there, sitting in the corner there, but it needs to go back in the aisle, everybody's going to walk past it because it's there, nobody's, but unless you constantly drive that into like picking up a piece of paper in front of you, like it's kind of a big deal.
Guess what I'm going to do every time I come into the store now?
You're going to move a rake?
I'm going to move a rake. I know. I'm going to time it.
Sometimes I'll just leave them out to see how long it takes people to pick them up.
He does it every once in a while. He'll snap a picture of it, send me, he goes, I'm going to see how long it's going to be here.
Yeah.
If it's here by the end of the day, I'm going to bust the
Because it's like in plain view, and it's like everybody's walked past us.
People are busy, as you know.
Right.
People, they're trying to put stock out. These customers are bothering them.
I know.
I can't even get the stuff put away because these customers keep bothering them. Great problem to have, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, sometimes you have a little bit of a mess, but it's got to get, at the end of the day, you pick it up, you clean it up, and you get organized again, and then you do it over again. So that's.
And you know what? We've been in there, how many years? 4 years now? And I think like we get more compliments from other stores that come in there to tour our place. Like you're like, you've been in here that long, it's still this clean? Because we try to keep on it.
It's hard though.
I mean, it is hard. I mean, it's very hard to keep that big of a store faced off, looking good. But like, you need those people that are shopping with you, women, families, men, it doesn't matter. It's got to be a good shopping experience and easy for them to shop, And it needs to look nice. Your outside needs to look as good as the inside, vice versa.
So how has the lumber business changed since you bought in 2011, and then you had to go through COVID and?
It's a tough question. There's probably.
You're saying product wise, because
I don't know.
It's challenging to keep up with all the new products that are coming out.
I mean, I'm in the business, so that's my biggest thing. Technology is a blessing, but it's also a curse because of all the new products
every
that's out there.
day there's something new coming out. So to educate the sales guys to be up to speed, because the customer walking through the door has already done their research. They've already got an idea what they want to look for. So to be knowledgeable in all of that stuff, it's very hard. Those vendors that come in, they've got 20 product lines we've got 20 times each vendor, to keep up. And
yeah, I think that's a great answer to Corey's question. It's the education and the training is more than it used to have to be because of the internet, and it's not a bad thing.
No,
it's not. It just so it raises everybody's customer satisfaction experience because they expect more. So we want to be better. Nobody wants to suck.
No.
You want to be the best, and the challenge is there daily to do that. But in the same token, why I was a little confused with the question because it was more like what's the same. My brain went to and it's all about relationships, and it always has been about relationships. Yeah. The prices you got to be competitive, but it's about the relationships and what can you do for me now and tomorrow and the next day, and how can you make my life easier by having these products or helping me get through my project.
Especially in a small town community, you don't want to
definitely
have a bad relationship because it's just going to spread like wildfire.
Right.
And why do people want to shop you? Because you're the lowest price sometimes, but why? Because you make my project easier. You make it easier to run my company through your company, and your people are awesome. And if you don't have that, if it's just price, then now you're stuck, and you'll never win that war.
Yeah,
you'll just never win it.
No, and we strive. I mean, Mike and I are constantly working on price changes. Because it's not the day and age where you can be out in the water anymore.
Yeah.
You have to be competitive across the whole board. So I find it beneficial if we get busted sometimes. If we're too high price, let us know.
Right.
Dude, if I don't know about it, because we've got how many products in there? 30,000 probably, I'd say.
More, I think.
Probably more than that, 35,000, 40,000. I mean, there's a lot of products you got to touch.
And a lot of these products, they're commodities, and they change weekly.
Yeah.
We do change them weekly.
Right.
And they go up and down, up and down, up and down. So, and sometimes based on when last time you bought them, you can see a difference in something from company to company. But ideally, you want to be with the market. It's just a challenge to do it. I think Vassar Building Center as a history has been known to be a little higher priced, a lot of things, and we try so hard to combat that and be competitive and shop and do everything and listen to customers and find out when that is. But it's like no matter how hard you try, you just will never beat that image, and it's okay.
Nobody has ever come to me. We just talked about this last week. Nobody's literally ever come to me and said, dude, you guys got to raise your price. You are so cheap out there on this. Nobody's ever done that.
And it was what the joke between me and him is, especially during COVID when prices were going crazy. We had, I think I can remember this box of nails. It was like $17 for this box of nails. It cost us, and we had it on the thing for like, I don't know, $24 or something. Well, they cost like $50
right
now. Yeah. So we had it still at $27. And this kind of gets me to the point where sometimes you don't always hear the whole story. Those boxes of nails were there for almost all through COVID. Nobody bought them, and they were half price.
Yeah, nobody came in and was like,
those
"Oh my gosh, I'm stealing these off this guy's shelf and bought them all."
Yeah,
no, you just
some of that happened. They were like, "Holy cow, man! We've had these. How many did we sell at that price and lost $27 a box?"
Right.
We're like, 3.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like they should have bought 30.
Right.
But so sometimes it just is what it is. But we work pretty hard at trying to keep that price perception.
That was probably the largest difficult time was COVID, dealing with commodities.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah, those
not being
prices
able to
that were
get
changing
stuff,
weekly were changing daily.
Yeah. We had for a while there, your quote's only good for 7 days, and we were kind of questioning that, you know. And it wasn't until just recently we actually switched back to 30 days because everything just kind of like settled down.
Yeah, I know. He prints the lumber charts every week so that all the sales guys can, you know, some of the contractors would come in during that time and be like, "What's it doing?" You know, look at it, and it's like, "Yeah, it's still going up." So you better figure it out.
You think everything's just kind of, you know, I get that question a lot. Is you think the market's just kind of where it's at?
I think it's back to normal.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit below normal. A lot of stuff right now. So when it comes to lumber and sticks, very competitively priced, lowest we've seen in a while, like pre-COVID even. So OSBs had a little run here in the spring, and why'd
that pop up a little bit? It was kind of a random.
Here's what they say. They say it was due to a couple things: warm weather, and then forecasting. They didn't expect it to be as busy, so they didn't produce as much.
I see.
So it created a shortage. So, and one of the things I've learned about the OSB market is they can turn that dial on and off.
It's like the oil and gas, man.
It's a commodity, and they are really good at it. They're good. And
is there not a lot of players in that game? Is that why they can?
There's a few, and then the thing that
if one does it, they all do it.
Yeah,
it's
like Speedway here and then Beacon Bridge.
Yeah, but there's no collusion.
No. Like if shingles are going up, one manufacturer releases, "Hey, we're going up 3%." Give it a week, every single other guy's going to be going up 3%. You know. Yeah.
So the market was supposedly stronger than what they projected.
Oh, okay.
Is what they say, and now it's kind of. It's had a stall here the last 3-4 weeks. So
the same problem happened when COVID, didn't they? Because they kind of burned up all the material. They didn't run enough for.
I think here's my thought down there, and there's a lot of people think this way, and it's conspiracy theory and stuff like that. But time will tell through when history looks back at it.
When we get our big check in 20 years for all the
we think, and a lot
of
you people think that there was a lot of people that shorted the material by hiding material and storing it off-site, to different places to make the price run up, and then they would pull it and sell it as out of the back in big companies. A lot of the mill manufacturers and stuff were a lot of accusations were put, like I've even had some people that had conversations where these mills had contacted some of these other players that remain nameless right now, and they said, well, they wanted me to take like 100 cars and store them on my site, and they're like, it's like, oh, you want to sell them? No, we don't want to sell them. We just want to store them there. It's like, why would you store them there?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it was like, when there was nothing out there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's these rail cars of product that wants to come in. So there is a little bit of the conspiracy thing, but time will tell on that and see how it all shakes out.
So on the big retail part of it, that was kind of a big leap of faith too, because I think that really, like, you're trying to get into the consumer. I feel like we're trying to get the female market a little bit.
The DIY. And,
is that a do it best? Was that a program that they were launching?
Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
In that prototype, they hired a company. I'm going to see if I can get this right. It's called Shoot Gerdeman. You might be able to Google it and see. But they were a design firm that worked a lot with. They work with Target, and they work with like Taco Bells for exterior facades, shopping experiences. So they hired this company to come in and help them with this prototype and say, when people walk into our doors, what do we want it to feel like? What do we want it to look like? And what they wanted it to be, easily shopped, easily viewed. I don't need a lot of help finding things, and clean, open sight lines to things, and female friendly. And at that point, I think in our store, I know when you walk into it, originally it was right during Christmas season.
Yeah,
we were never a Christmas destination. And there's
for Christmas shopping,
right? So for exactly.
Like we would always at the old store. This is how I always explain it. We would always have promos. I mean, I would do circulars for Black Friday and everything. And you'd think like Black Friday, okay, everybody's gonna be blowing off the doors on Black Friday to come in, but no, okay. You would have. It was like Cheers though. Like you'd have the same people coming in, Hey, good morning, and they were there to get the same old lumberyard stuff, and then you get the one-off. So 1 out of 10 people was a new shopper there. They'd walk in and be like, "Wow, when did you guys remodel this in the old store?" And we're like,
and remember the when we open the doors and we're like, there's a lady, she's pushing a cart and she's got her kids.
Yeah.
Look at that. And we're watching her. We're watching her shop. It's like, she's shopping at our store.
Then like Black Friday, we did our first Black Friday promo at the new store. And I remember coming out to him and I was like, Mike, you gotta come out and take a look. Dude, there's people pushing shopping carts around with kids in it. Like 3/4 of them were all women. And I was like, I think it worked. But it was amazing to see how it flipped. Mm-hmm. Like, because it literally, the old store was like Cheers. Like, you saw the same people all the time. You very rarely saw new faces. This new store, 9 of them are new faces. 1 of them are the regular.
It's flipped. A lot of the people coming in are new faces, and we try and make them repeat customers. But a lot of people it's a destination. A little bit of that news wearing off now, where they saw the new store and they just want to come in and check it out. Hey, we've heard a lot about that. Heard about your store, wanted to come and check it out, and but still, I'd seen last month our tickets were up.
Yeah,
so.
And I always watch like tickets and stuff like that to see, because that first year we had a lot going against us. Mm-hmm. First new store plus COVID traffic. So like,
how do you sustain that?
Yeah. So I said if I can capture half of that first year traffic, I was going to be happy with that. Mm-hmm. But we've sustained it, and it's been very, very good for the community and everybody involved.
And the guys inside are really good about getting rid of merchandise we've tried when we first opened up, and some of it worked, some of it didn't. So you refresh it, you bring in different categories, and trying to keep those categories new and exciting, and technology changes, and we're not opposed to anything now. There's not a category that we wouldn't try. I mean,
we try everything, and if you give it 2 years, if it's not turning, like if you're not moving that whole category in 2 years,
that's pretty good to give it 2 years. I don't know if I have the patience.
Some of it's training.
You got to.
Some of it's training.
Yeah, and some of it will take for it to evolve.
Yep.
It takes that long, because like we just brought on what's those new coolers? Rugged Road.
Yep.
Okay, Rugged Road is a brand new cooler that's come out. It's like half the weight of Yetis. Those aren't going to be able to just sit on the shelf.
You got to tell people. You got to. Here, hold this, Corey.
Right.
And you're like, this feels like a white styrofoam cooler, because it is inside.
Right.
And it's just coated with this rugged plastic.
Yeah.
That's why it's so light.
Right. Okay. So like all those categories, if you bring them in and just set them down in the aisle, they're not going to sell. Mm-hmm. You gotta push them, and then once they start getting traction, then you can push them down the aisle, because then you'll be a destination for it. So it just takes a while for those new things to get traction, and if you can't, you just got to get out of it. Yep. First loss is your best loss.
Yep. So speaking of new, what's going to be new coming up? What's any new development, or you just kind of
in the not super new future, but one of the biggest things down the road that we want to do is to go back to the lumberyard and reestablish that and rework that and bring that up to speed to make it something that, again, it's an old structure. Mm-hmm. It's tired, and those buildings are just standing there. They know they're supposed to stand,
right?
And but they need help now, so we're going to go back in and help them buildings and refresh that area, and that's one of my goals. In the next probably 3 years, is to work on that and get that back to something that looks respectable and something that we can be proud of. We're proud of it now, but it's just we just work in it every day, and we're so busy. But now that we got a little time, we're going to go back in, and that's one of our things. Go back in and make that look like the store. Make that. Right. We've got some new concepts we want to do there, and how we do things and implement them there. But we're going to go back in and give that old lumberyard a new facelift, so it'll look good.
But it functions just fine.
It does.
It does. But sometimes you walk through there and you're
so one last thing, I always when I see Josh, I always try and push for a hot dog stand. We got one of those potentially coming in, or
who's going to run it? You?
I was going to have Josh do it.
Josh?
Yeah.
We could do
What's
that.
D calling them? Hot dogs?
I don't know. We have popcorn on Fridays.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta come on.
Well, we got to keep them in the back. We haven't brought that out since COVID.
No,
we're all afraid.
We could probably do that. Yeah.
Oh, I can
probably bring it back out.
You say that, and because I come with the contractor door, I can smell.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've never engaged.
You should engage.
Yeah.
It's there for everyone. And then we've been taking Kinder seasoning and dumping it on top of it. It's so good. Garlic butter. That
sounds good.
Garlic butter and salt or something. It's really good. Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to talk about before we end this session?
How about you? What do you, as far as your company, you seem to be out and about a lot more. Your company's growing, and see you out and see you in the building center a lot more often too. So things are good.
Yeah, we just started a excavating division. Okay. So we just kind of seen a need there to kind of control our own schedule. So we do excavating and possibly get into a little ICF foundations, just kind of control our own schedule, and then bring another product, like you guys do. A little bit more energy efficient structures.
Yeah.
And I think as contractors, we need to be diversified to some degree, unless you're just in that one little pigeonhole of maybe a roofer, siding. But that's one thing about our crews. We pretty much could do everything from start to finish.
That's the biggest thing that's hard to do up in this neck of the woods. I mean, down south, all the guys are like, you guys just got to have those guys that just do their specific things, the windows, the siding, and it just doesn't work up here. You got to be involved in everything. And I mean, I think to be successful, unless you just like Trex, I mean, you can do Trex by yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I want you to do.
No, that's been a great partnership with you guys on our trucks, being Trex pros, because we used to deal with Wimsat, and that was a train wreck.
Right.
And they just weren't invested into it. They had the opportunity to sell it. They did sell it, but they just didn't educate themselves like you have with your staff. Like we've gone to Trex University, and I think that was a huge for myself to go.
Yeah, I want to go again. I just talked to Mark and Bear last week about it. We want to get another crew out there again because it's just good to do. And that's another product that's just evolving every year. There's new stuff coming out, and they just brought out that new signature line and those new colors. And I was like, that's gonna be hard to sell. But we sold, you sold a Rainier.
Yeah, we're putting.
I just sold
now.
a Jasper job the other day, and so like those new trendy colors and the designs that you're putting on them they're good. And as well as I do that composite decking is eventually going to be taking over, all treated and everything.
Right.
Never.
I know.
I mean, they are trying to get some of that Trex in the price point of treated. I mean, I would say it was pretty comparable there when treated was so elevated, but I mean, it's kind of died back down a little bit.
There's definitely a place for both. And, some people just can't get up there. And at that point, treated is what it is.
Yeah. It's just like we still put laminate countertops in.
Yep. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Right.
And they got their place.
Yep. Well, cool. I appreciate you guys coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll see you on Friday to get some of that popcorn.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe we should cart that out this Friday.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks, then.
Okay. See you, buddy.
Mike,
Thank you.
Yep.